Hello and welcome to Shoreline Music Monthly. My name is Mark Koshwitz. This is episode 94 of the little show where we bring local talented songwriters and put them in your living rooms. It's not often that we have repeat guests, returning guests, as whichever you like to look at it as, but that is the case tonight. I'm very happy to welcome back to the VSCTV studio, Robert C. Fullerton.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm very glad that we were able to sneak this one in.
Absolutely.
It's been 7 years.
It's a long time.
And in watching, because the show has taken lots of turns over the years and ideas on what we do during it, and so I was rewatching that one, and I realized that, you know, we chatted a little bit about this and that, but I left not knowing kind of your music, where you found music, your musical bio, I guess, as it were. If you want to maybe just give the folks an idea on when you found music, how you found music, or it found you.
Sure. In some ways, it goes back to the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, which I think it is for a lot of people in our age group.
There's that generational moment.
But but I have to extend that to it being my mother as my first musical influence. As a matter of fact, she's memorialized as a treble clef on my arm here.
Nice.
She played piano in a little country church in Northern Virginia. But also, she and my father would walk around the house singing. We had, I think, the radio, the record player was on more often than the television. Of course, television was only 4 channels for us. But
you got a fourth?
I was in the D.C. suburbs, so we had an independent station.
Yeah.
And and I know, I'm convinced that when we saw Ed Sullivan and with the Beatles, that episode, which we went to a cousin's house because they had color TV and we didn't, that we were really doing that because that's what my mother wanted to do. And I remember her having Brenda Lee records, Elvis Presley,
Nice.
Ricky Nelson, and even I think it was right around the Doors where she started going,
This is too weird.
Yeah. So she technically is my main influence.
And she had a wide variety, it sounds like, of music that she listened to.
Well, between her and my father especially, definitely. And I was exposed to it. There was that one point where, like in the 50s, the line between rock and country wasn't that well defined yet in a lot of ways. So
a lot of people trotting both.
Yeah, Patsy Cline was another one that I grew up hearing all the time, and so all of that good influence. As you know, then again, as I got older and got music on my own, fell in love with classical music at one point. That's when I need to relax. That's what I pull up. I was a high school choral director at a private school for a while, and we did a lot of classical repertoire. I messed with jazz for a little bit. Did a bunch of church music in early days, and
So you have a wide and varied background.
Yeah, which is why whenever when you release something on CD Baby, there's places they always want to know
Genre.
Sounds like and it's like and I ask people and they go, you sound like you. That's what I kind of think of. I don't sound like, but when I think of Joni Mitchell, it's like she was labeled as folk, but she was not a folk artist. She had jazz elements in her music, and she liked to mess around with stuff. This is a song that I wrote probably about 6 or 7 years ago called Dinner for Two at 3, and it's going to be on my next album that's coming out, Prone to Wander. She told me that once she cooked breakfast for the divine. Now she turns on her faucet and everything comes out as wine. She eats hashtag potatoes, scalped and old rotten some other way too. She says she's forgotten recipes she claims she got on a trip to the moon. And there's no doubt you'll see her out and about, playing checkers with tigers who usually win, and off on long walks with the trees, having dates with the moon and must end by 10, taking care of her pet spelling bee. Yes, she is magical, mystical, practically mythical. Alone in Midtown Manhattan she'll be, having dinner for two at 3. The clock on her wall is just painted there, it doesn't keep time. Says she likes it that way 'cause her favorite number is 9. She eats hashtag potatoes, scalped and old rotten some other way too. She says she's forgotten recipes she claims she got on a trip to the moon. And there's no doubt you'll see her out and about, cutting up daffodils to stuff in her pockets and watering hydrangeas with beer, playing hopscotch at midnight with spurs on her high heels, hoping the fairy queen hears. Yes, she's magical, mystical, practically mythical. Alone in Midtown Manhattan she'll be, having dinner for two at 3. Some people insist she doesn't exist, just in my mind so they deem. I don't know about you, but if it is true, well, I'd much rather live in a dream. She eats hashtag potatoes, scalped and old rotten some other way too. She says she's forgotten recipes she claims she got on a trip to the moon. And there's no doubt you'll see her out and about, uprooting daffodils to stuff in her pockets, watering hydrangeas with beer, playing hopscotch at midnight with spurs on her high heels, hoping the fairy queen hears. Yeah, she's magical, mystical, practically mythical. Alone in Midtown Manhattan she'll be, having dinner for two at 3. Yeah, she's magical, mystical, practically mythical. Alone in Midtown Manhattan she'll be, alone in Midtown Manhattan she'll be, having dinner for two at 3. The songwriting part I didn't really get into till about, what year is this now? Maybe 12 or 13 years ago. And yeah, and once I started, it's just like it began to roll. And
Was your first instrument the guitar?
yes, I had a $16 Diasonic guitar from G.C. Murphy Company.
Do you still have it?
I do not. I wish I did. Not that it would be playable. It was
Yeah.
like grabbing a baseball bat at the hitting end. It was a weird guitar. It was shaped like a classical. Even had the headstock, the slotted headstock like a classical, but came with steel strings on it. And so that was my first guitar. I do have my second guitar, which I bought with my own newspaper money.
Wow, I was a newspaper delivery person
Yeah.
myself.
Well, see, this is the guitar I bought at a music store that's no longer in business, with money that I made from a newspaper that's no longer in business, and
The guitar outlived them all.
yeah, and it's still there. It was a '72 Yamaha FG 140, and I break it out every once in a while.
Just around the house, right? Not
I've
gigging.
taken it out on a couple gigs here and
Okay.
there. It has had electronics added to it, and
And you're feeling the nostalgic pull, or just
yeah,
to get them in rotation?
just yeah. If I want to, like, not need to retune, because I do a lot with open tunings now.
Gotcha.
So, but then it's like, this is more work than it's worth, and I'd rather tune. So, but yeah, I do still have that guitar.
And when the writing started about 12 years ago, you said?
Yeah, I mean, before I would write a song like once every 10 years or something like that. But yeah, this was for me. There were a lot of changes in my life. I'd changed jobs a couple years before that, and then went through divorce. And it's like, you know what? My kids are grown. I want to chase what I always wanted to do. And I was going to go in and make an EP, and I had 2 songs, I think. And I said, well, I'll do my 2 songs and then 3 or 4 covers and put that out. So I went in, started recording with my 2 songs, and never got the covers done, because every time I come back for a session, it's, hey, I got a new song. Yeah.
And it hasn't stopped then, because, I mean, last time you were here was some time ago, but you had just released Let It Rain, and I think that was your 3rd or 4th at that time
That
already?
was the second.
Oh, just,
Yeah.
okay, second. And then you were talking about the one that came out in 2020, long time coming.
Yep.
So that's now complete.
That is complete. I have a couple of smaller projects that I've done. I have, like, on the streaming platforms, I have somewhere around 100 songs out there.
Wow.
And yeah, and another album to come out with 9 songs sometime next month. And then, as we were talking before the show, I'm already in the planning stages for my next one. So, yeah,
And the one coming out soon is Prone to Wander.
Prone to Wander.
Okay. And so folks can find you on any of the streaming
I'm
platforms.
on all of them, and my retirement plan is to make a lot of money off of those 2/10 of a penny, so everybody's got to listen.
Is it to 210? I think it's like
It depends on the
300.
platform, and yeah.
So if folks want to find you, to catch you, because you do play out live locally, there's a site they could look up?
Yes, it's robertcfullerton.com. It's easiest to find when they put that C in my name. But robertcfullerton.com, I try to keep my calendar updated.
Last night I saw the paper people right there on the painted walls, climbing up the churchhouse steeples, hanging out in hallowed halls. whisper in my ear was some plot that they were cooking to love me into staying here. But I am only here to visit. I have no desire to stay. When I leave here, I won't miss it. It will all soon wash away. It will all soon wash away. Rain was falling, just my luck it seemed. It would keep pouring down. They scurried round with little buckets to catch the rain to sell in town. They knew the people there would buy it, use it to complete some task. No clue why they don't deny it. I walked away afraid to ask. 'Cause I am only here to visit. I have no desire to stay. When I leave here, I won't miss it. It will all soon wash away. It will all soon wash away. Some cosmic hustle for Orion's belt. Beetlejuice shuffled from the bottom 12, and no one saw 'em. They just stood in awe. So if you see those paper people, tell them I've gone away. They can yell at me from the church house steeple. There's no way that I can stay. 'Cause I'm only here to visit. I have no desire to stay. When I leave here, I won't miss it. It will all soon wash away. It will all soon wash away.
All right, welcome back. I am still here with Robert C. Fullerton, and he has agreed to, he's done it before, so he already knows the gig, to play From the Hip with me, where we just kind of get into some more odder questions that maybe don't come up during a normal interview, but typically are about music and food anyway. Tea or coffee?
Lately, tea, only because of the issues I had. So, yeah, definitely been drinking more tea than anything. Hot tea.
Are we missing coffee? Or has it been a smooth transition?
You know, it's fairly smooth. I think one of the easiest things that helped it was my coffee maker was getting old and the coffee tasted always kind of, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So this is an upgrade then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about the first guitar you bought with your own money. Do you recall what the first piece of music, like vinyl, cassette, whatever it might have been, that you purchased with your own money?
It was either Cosmos Factory, Creedence Clearwater
Okay.
Revival, or Who's Next by The Who. It was one of those two.
All right, we just don't know which one was first.
I think I had bought maybe some 45s before that, but album-wise,
Remember 45s?
yeah. I wish you could still do that. Even with a CD, if you could burn it on both sides, it would just be, kind of cool.
Who would you say is either your favorite or most influential songwriter, national type songwriter that you don't know personally?
The names that are in the running would definitely be Tom Waits.
No, cool.
But I think more influential, and not that I sound like, well, Paul McCartney's got to be in there too, of the Beatles. Paul Simon.
Okay.
It's just amazing.
That's a three-headed monster that's pretty
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah. I'm not saying I sound like them, but they're inspiring.
Well, that's
They're
the thing,
definitely
yeah.
Inspiring.
Excellent.
Yeah.
How many states have you lived in?
Lived in? Just 4.
Just 4?
Just 4.
Okay.
I grew up in Virginia, lived in Texas for a few years, moved up to Connecticut for about 3 years, was just south of Boston, and then came back to Connecticut.
Okay. And what brought you back here?
Job.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a valid reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's gorgeous here anyway. Okay.
My ex grew up in Connecticut, and that's what originally brought me up here. And yeah, I've stayed.
All right. Well, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
What was your favorite gig to play ever?
Oh. That all depends on my memory. So I'm going to go with the one we were talking about earlier, which was, you hadn't mentioned it, but I had open heart surgery just back in the beginning of December. 5 weeks later, I was part of a giant fundraiser for Family Promise, and it was 16 different songwriters, and everyone went up in rounds of 4.
Many of who were Shoreline Music Monthly
Yeah.
alumni.
Yeah, I got the poster from it in my guitar case.
Nice.
But yeah, everybody, we went up in groups of 4, and I actually opened up the show. And this was a decent place. It was like a little over 300 people. And
And for a good cause.
yeah, absolutely. It's the work with people to try and avoid homelessness, and so for people who are struggling.
Yeah.
So you did an original, the 4, and then you came back around and you did a Bob Dylan cover because it was called Shelter from the Storm. And
Was there fights over the Dylan covers, or were there?
No,
Did they arrange it so that
Frank
there couldn't
Vielle,
be duplicates?
I don't know if you know Frank. He's the one that coordinated it and put it together. And so he just sent people individually, give me a list of 3 songs you would choose from.
All right.
And I sent him one, said it's this one. So I covered Watchtower.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last one. How many instruments would you say you play?
When people ask that, I usually say define play.
Adequately, I guess, to your
that people would listen
perspective.
to and
Yeah.
not run away from. Stringed instruments, if I know the tuning, I can go from one to the other. So I've played guitar, I've played mandolin, I've played banjo, I play bass, I play keys, piano. I used to play flute, but I haven't touched that in, 20 years at least, maybe 30. I forget how old I am.
Time goes by.
Yeah. So those are, like I said, I've picked up other instruments and I can get a sound out of and know the basic thing like that, but you wouldn't necessarily want to hear them.
And we count voice here.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for playing this silly game.
You're welcome.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. He's a mean-looking dog, but don't you worry, he don't bite. He's a mean-looking dog, don't you worry, he don't bite. About the only thing he does is bark all through the night. Yeah, that dog can bark, it's the one thing he sure can do. Yeah, that dog can bark, it's the one thing he sure can do. If I could teach him to bite, you know I'd sick that dog on you. He's a mean-looking dog, mean-looking dog. He's a mean-looking dog, and he kind of reminds me of you. He's a mean-looking dog, but don't you pay him any mind. No, no, no. He's a mean-looking dog, don't you pay him any mind. Yeah, that dog is so nice, he even treats his fleas real kind. He's a mean-looking dog, a mean-looking dog. He's a mean-looking dog, and he kinda reminds me of you. He's a mean-looking dog, such a mean-looking dog. He's a mean-looking dog, and he kinda reminds me, mean-looking dog, yeah, he sorta reminds me, a mean-looking dog, and he sure as hell reminds me of you. Ooh.
All right, well, thank you once again for watching Shoreline Music Monthly. We will be back next month with another talented songwriter to drop into your living room. In the meantime, if you can, check the Shoreline Music Monthly Facebook page, find some folks you might want to see on our weekend guide, and get out and see a show. And I'm sure you'll be glad you did. And we will see you next month. Thank you.